Hey, everybody. Russ the West Ham. Why, hey. Russ the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well. It's Monday. Back to the grindstone. And that means it's time for the Russie Rumour Rating. So it is indeed time for the Russie Rumour Roundup. For anyone new to the channel, on a Monday and Thursday, usually what we do a bit of a roundup. So go through all the ITK news. We go through all the reports, all the Twitters, all that time below, all the Twitters. How old am I? All the tweets and stuff like that. And basically consolidate them, tell you what the rumour is, and then give. I mean, my head's a bit close. That's better. Tell you what the rumour is all about, and then we basically give you our take on it and apply the Russie Rumour Rating, the original Rumour Rating. Now, I am not saying, warning, we are signing all these players. All I'm doing is merely talking about the rumour, talk about where they could fit in potentially, if it's a complete non-starter. And in fact, we keep an eye on how many people we've been linked with, just to prove how silly it is. And we're not saying we're signing all these players, but we will be signing a couple of them. And we could be signing a couple of the guys we're going to be talking about today. Let's start with something which sort of broke last night, earlier this morning. And that is a bloke we've spoken about before, actually. The FC Lugano Swiss centre-back Albion 𝙏𝙍𝘼𝙉𝙎, that'll do. Now, a guy we've spoken about, he's a name that I haven't had to put him on the list, so we've been linked to him a few times. Now, according to international transfer market expert Dominic Schneider, he says that West Ham have verbally agreed with the player to move to West Ham. He has a £5 million release clause, but West Ham haven't triggered it yet. Deal not done, but player keen to join the Hammers. Now, he was, I believe, a former Juventus. I think he played for Juventus. It was definitely on Juventus's books. 22. And, you know, again, these are the types of names that are going to come out from the supercomputer. And a player we've been linked to before. He's a Swiss international, ? I'm just looking now. Yep, played one game for Swiss international. His position is centre half, but he does also play left back. So, you know, this could be the 𝙏𝙍𝘼𝙉𝙎 replacement, in the same way that, you know, we've bought replacements before we've sold them, and that's makes sense. And if it means that we bring in Albion, who's 22, young, left-footed, he's got a contract which runs until 2028. He signed a new extension last October. And as I said, you know, he's a decent height for centre half. I will probably get Dan to have a look at him from a statistical perspective. But for me, you know, 4.5 million quid. If you sell 𝙏𝙍𝘼𝙉𝙎 for 20 million, you've made yourself a little bit of money. Well, not on 𝙏𝙍𝘼𝙉𝙎, but, you know, there's profit to be had there. And yeah, don't know much about him, I'll be honest. He's played 85 games. He said scored 3 goals. Was former Juventus. When did he move from Juventus? Juventus, sort of their B side. He moved to Lugano. Back in 2020, April 2023. April 2023. That's a bit of a weird day. Anyway, let's see. But you could see definitely that happening, and particularly with the release clause. That's why Russie B is giving it an 80% chance. 8 out of 10. I could see this one happening very, very quickly. Maybe as quick as the Kyle Walker-Peters one. You know, if we've agreed terms with him already, which I don't know. I never really understand how that works, in all honesty, because surely that's tapping up. But anyway, maybe the next one through the door. Maybe. Or could the next one be through the door Mads Hermansen, 24-year-old goalkeeper, is on our list. He's on our preferred list. We know Casper, the friendly goalkeeper coach, really, really rates him. Played with him at Bromby. He trained him. He brought him through, and obviously went into playing in the Premier League under Leicester. Much, a good ball playing goalkeeper, as we know. According to former Danish international Peter Kaiser, he says that he is a strong fit for West Ham. And speaking in Tipsbladet in June, he said it was a nice place located in London and a club that wants a bit more. They've Graham Potter. He wants to play the ball out, and Mads is significantly better with his feet than Areola. Now, what was interesting, and I love this little sort of added layer to this transfer, is Mads was not in anywhere to be seen in Leicester City's pre-season friendly against 𝙏𝙍𝘼𝙉𝙎𝙃. Fucking hell, that's someone's just gone like that on a keyboard. Which they played on Saturday, which fuels your speculation. West Ham are believed to be interested in the loan deal with an obligation to buy, with the player reportedly valued at around 20 million quid. However, Leicester obviously understood to be preferred a permanent transfer up front. They are looking at bringing in 𝙏𝙍𝘼𝙉𝙎 as a reserve team, as the second goalkeeper, and promoting Leicester's second goalkeeper into the top spot. So they've sort of almost got his succession plan ready. I think this one is just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I went to see Starlight Express yesterday, so that is in my head. It's hydrogen. So I think it's a matter of when, not if you know what I mean. And I think it's clear what we're doing, kind of, in the fact is, we brought in Diouf, Kyle Walker-Peters, say we bring in Albion, say we bring in Mads. That defense is almost not it's strengthened considerably. And actually, we've brought in Kyle Walker-Peters as Soufal's replacement. It's not fair to say we're bringing in Diouf as Cresswell's replacement, because I think Diouf will start, but Emerson's replacement, eventual replacement, I think. And then Albion will be Aguerre's replacement, and then Mads would be Fabianski's replacement. That midfield still needs sorting, obviously, but I can see this one happening pretty sharpish as well. So Rushy B will give that 70%, 7 out of 10 chance. Let's talk about that midfield now, because that's obviously crucial. And we've been linked to a number of players. Richard Rios looks like he's now going to Benfica. That's apparently the deal has been agreed with that. So that will be eventually one taken off the list, which is a shame, because I just think he would have been perfect for us. There's three players that we've been linked with again, or still linked with. Let's start with Douglas Luiz, 27-year-old Brazilian international, 18-time Brazilian international. Gazeta dello Sport reported yesterday that West Ham and Everton have both made offers for the Brazilian and are both the most interested. He's currently valued about £34 million with the Italian giants, but with them having to sell, they may well sell for less. Considering he's had a dip in form since moving to the old lady, and it's someone that a move back to the Premier League would suit him as a player, suit him as a person. Obviously, London versus Everton, you'd assume London would have a greater draw for him, maybe. But whether we'll spend, I don't think it'll be 35. I reckon it'll be about 30, maybe 25 million potentially as well. So it's not, for me, I know there's a split. I put the question out the other day, and there was almost like a 50-50 split, really. He's 20, what did I say? 27? Is he 27? I think he's 27. I'm just going to check that, because on the report it says 29, but I'm pretty sure on Wikipedia it says 27. Let's just check, because that, for me, those 2 years makes a hell of a lot of difference. Douglas Luiz, 27. I was right. We're calling with Wikipedia. Now, Everton are looking at him as well, and I know he's a player that Moyes was looking at when he was at West Ham as well before moving. Obviously there was interest in him, and last year we were still again interested in him again, but he went to Juventus. I would like to think we're in the hunt for him. I said hunt, but I think it's a 2-horse race, to be honest, and it's how much resource we put behind our horse. If that makes sense. I think we're being interested. Of course, we've been interested in his Premier League. He can come in and do a job now, even with coming in with a few weeks pre-season. He knows the Premier League already, so there's no adjustment period needed. Same as Mads as well. He's a Premier League ready player, so he can come in and just compete for that number 1 jersey with Areola. I'm going to put it at Lamar for him, to be honest, because I think I don't know. Oh, sorry, went down the wrong hole. I'm just a little bit torn because of the money involved. Could we? You see the sort of how we've, again, hindsight's be a great thing to say how if we bring Albion in, how much of a good centre half he'll be. But for 5 million quid or whatever, it seems an absolute punt. And he could become a really good player. You've made your money back on him just by signing for West Ham, because you could sell him for 10 million quid. Because he's Premier League. Is a Premier League club to a Championship club or something like that. So in a couple of years' time, if he doesn't cut the mustard, well, there's no return on sale for Douglas Luiz, really. And you'll probably get 3 years. It might mean, in a weird way, someone like McATEE is more likely to stay. Although we'll talk about that tonight, Hammer's headlines, because I think there's still some with the McATEE situation. A delay again, could be delayed until next year, randomly. So we'll come back to that. Another one we've been linked to is the Chelsea midfielder, 𝙏𝙍𝘼𝙉𝙎𝙁𝙀𝙍, 26-year-old England international, I think so. Over 226 appearances, as you can see, 31 goals. Now, according to reports, Chelsea, now considering you probably get Douglas Luiz for about 30 million, Chelsea want 30 million for 𝙍𝙍𝘼𝙉𝙎𝙁. We wanted to sign him on loan in January, apparently, but the deal failed to see the light of day. And West Ham are ready to return, apparently, for an approach to secure his services if the Blues reduce their asking price to parting ways with last summer's summer signing in the ongoing transfer window. Meanwhile, Chelsea would demand around £30 million. £30 million for 𝙍𝙍𝘼𝙉𝙎𝙁. See, I know he's got a British tax in his head, so to speak, Premier League tax. Seems very spenny to me. Am I being a bit of a stinge? 30 million quid for him seems a lot. When you look at other players who've been linked with in around that ballpark figure, and the one we're going to talk about in a minute as well. Personally, I'd rather spend that money on someone. I mean, again, you're paying for someone who can just come in and do a job. There is injury concerns with 𝙍𝙍𝘼𝙉𝙎𝙁 as well. He's been injured quite a bit as well. So, again, for 30 million, and to be honest, Douglas Luiz he didn't have a lot of injuries. Yeah, like occasionally, like a couple of games here, a couple of games there. But when he was during Juventus, he's had a real injury crisis, and so again, there's that question mark over his head as well. Just don't think I would pay that for 𝙍𝙍𝘼𝙉𝙎𝙁. So I'm going to give him 4 out of 10, 40% chance, because you can see, Potter would have worked with him. Would he have worked with him at Chelsea? I don't know the time frame. But I don't think so. No, I don't think he did. I think Enzo brought him in, didn't he? But I just doesn't fit right in the waters for Rusty B. One who fits better, I think, and it's slightly different, slightly more advanced, is James McATEE. Now, according to reports, Man City, this was in the Telegraph yesterday, Man City have set their price on him, which is going to be £35 million for the winger. It's due to them using Cole Palmer. He went to Chelsea, £42 million in 2023, as a sort of benchmark. Am I just being a right grout? I think I'm a bit of a grout. 35 million quid. I mean, he's 22. There's a lot of potential there. I think if you go in for 25, 30, I think you're looking at a decent return. So I don't know what it is about that 35. It just sort of sticks in the back of my throat a little bit. We know that Dortmund and Eintracht Frankfurt are also interested in him. And we know that McAtee's been in Germany as well to meet both clubs by the sounds of it. Nottingham Forest also interested, but you'd assume they'd probably only go in for him if Morgan Gibbs-White moves on. Although they have sold Elanga, and McAtee can play on the more of a winger if need be. I think, again, would I rather spend the money on McAtee or Luis? I think, honestly, there's pros and cons of both, and people will be in the chat like, oh, how the fuck do you... For me, McAtee, there's a lot of potential there. I don't think he's fulfilled his potential yet, and playing for a club where he's a first teamer, I think you'll see a very, very good player. He's homegrown as well. Luis he hasn't got. I mean, he's got a couple of years on him, whereas McAtee is 22. He's got these formative years ahead of him. Hasn't even hit peak yet, so maybe McAtee would be a more sensible purchase as well. I don't think you get necessarily that energy level that Luis had when he was playing for Villa in the Premier League. He was one of the main reasons why Villa moved from relegation candidates to Champions League qualifiers, was with the likes of the energy and the drive from a Douglas Luiz, which I think is something we desperately need. Does McAtee have that, or is he more of a creative, skillful player? What do we need? And I think it all depends on what happens with Paqueta, to be honest. And by the sounds of it, that's been put a pause on, and we'll talk about that at Hammer's headlines. So I'm going to give it a 60% chance, Rusty Rumour rating, the original Rumour rating. But more importantly, where are we on the list? Well, strike up the band, because, ladies and gentlemen, we have beaten last season's record. Congratulations. Round of applause. 170 players we've been linked to. I need to go through this, and there's something I can take off the list like Rios eventually. But 170 players so far we have been linked with, surpassing last year's last year's number, and we still have 6 weeks left, 5.5 weeks left of the transfer window. And there's going to be plenty more names, plenty more rumours, plenty more movement, without a shadow of a doubt. I think we're still obviously looking to move out a number of players as well. If bids come in, you can only sell when people come in for players. And I think generally we didn't realise how unattractive some of our players were, in all honesty, because you've got someone like 𝙏𝙍𝘼𝙉𝙎𝙁𝙀, for example, who starred for La Liga last year, one of the top defenders. You would assume for 20 million quid, for I think he's 28, 29, that, for someone who's already ready to go, I don't think it's a bad deal. But no one wants him. No one's buying for him just yet. It might be a domino effect. It might be one happens and but we've got what was it, 3 and a bit weeks until the season starts. Well, at least until the Ball Sport Cup. How many times have people call it the Betway? It's Ball Sport Plus, the BS Cup, as I call it. But anyway, keep an eye on the channel for the latest news, reviews, and opinions. And I'll see you much later on. Take care, my friends. Much love. Bye-bye.